Face me!
Ahoy toy flesh creatures, welcome to your doom. excuse me. Welcome to Transfixed, the channel with head pun, head joke. I was not planning to do this video, but I ordered this little kit here. This is a head upgrade for Megatron. It is called Model 001 or Model. You can get this from Robot Toy Base. It's about $25 plus shipping. I found it on eBay for $28 and free shipping. These are all the faces it includes, and I bought it for one reason and one reason alone. I really love the MP-36 Plus version of Megatron, which is made to look like the G1 toy with all the chrome and the red on it and details and all that kind of good stuff, and this extra head. I really like this head because it looks just like the head that you see on the box art for Megatron, and there's just something really appealing about it. Now, I just can't justify buying that because it's over 250 bucks. I just couldn't justify it, and then I thought, why not I buy this head kit, and then I've got the head and I can make it work with the standard Megatron. But the thing was, it's not exactly like it's supposed to be. The face doesn't have the black detailing around it that it's supposed to. And I don't really care about the LED lights. But anyway, let's get into the kit. I'll show you what it's all about first. So in the kit, you get 6 faces, as you saw in the box. And I'm going to compare them to what you get with the standard release. So here is standard Megatron's head. Here is the upgrade kit's head. And the color is slightly different. How to describe it? I would say the upgrade kit has a slight tinge of a champagne color, maybe a pewter sort of hue to it, but it's very close. Otherwise, they're very similar. This head is a bit tighter. We'll get into that later as well. Let's start by comparing the faces. We'll have official masterpiece on the left and the upgrade kit on the right. So you can see, of course, they've got translucent plate here for the eyes instead of the silver. So here's the official head. On the right here is the upgrade head. You can see there's a slight color difference, maybe a slight more blue in the face. And the translucent plastic, unless there's a light source behind it, it's harder to see the eyes. The eyes are darker than the metallic paint. The evil smile face, I like this one. The angry open mouth face, official upgrade kit. And the busted up Optimus Prime just kicked my butt face. Sharper detail on the official one. And with the upgrade kit, you get 2 extra faces. You get this smirking face, which is not included with the official, I don't think. And this eye is a bit larger than his left eye. And I think that's, because his cheek is up here, which is fine. That looks pretty good. And the one that I really wanted, and I've disassembled here, is this one here. I really wanted that toy art head. And I've already customized it, so I apologize. I did not plan to do a video about this. I just thought I'd fix the little black parts there. And I started customizing, and then I realized, gee, I should really be making a video of this. So I'm going to try to show you everything I did in as much detail as I can. But we'll come back to that a bit later. And he also comes with 2 more parts. He comes with this arm thing attachment. You can replace one of his hands with this hose. This is probably in some cartoon episode. It is not a replacement for this thing that comes with the official. This does not fit in that hole. That hole's too small for that. So I think it's some different accessory. He probably squirted oil on somebody or shot a laser at somebody in some episode. Tell me if you know what that is. I don't know. And it also comes with a stand. This was in 2 pieces. You just have to plug it in here. And I wasn't sure what this was at first, and then I realized it's probably for the gun mode. So if you're displaying the Masterpiece Megatron in gun mode, you probably can stand him up on the handle and then put the barrel in there. I think that's what that's for. Which I thought was useless, but I display my G1 Megatron in gun mode, so maybe I can cut this down to size and glue it back together and use that for my G1. So I am happy to have that now. So let's look at the electronic head now. This set does not come with instructions, and nothing on the box indicates which batteries you need. So I'm going to tell you, you need 2 batteries, and they need to be LR41s or G3. 392 is another way they designate these. But I think most commonly you'd find them as LR41 or G3. And you need to have a screwdriver, which is not included. So something about this size. It's Phillips, very tiny. Take out these 2 screws. The design of the head is the same as the official. These same 2 screws that exist on the official one. The socket for that head, though, is tighter than the official. After I popped on the head, I was a bit worried about getting it off, so I heated it up, and it did come off okay. But even articulating the head on the neck joint was a bit stiff, so I cut it out. So now that we take this piece out, you can see the 2 batteries I've got in there, and they go rounded side forward to the face. So they're easy to slide in. The direction they go, you know how there's like a flat on the, I believe it's the positive. Yeah, the bottom of these is flat, and that is the positive side with the battery marking on it. That will go toward the back of the head. And then the rounded part, what looks like the top of the battery, will go toward the face. That's the way they go, and 2 of them will work. And then there's a little button on the back You press here, and he has two modes. So the first mode, the lights will stay on for a few seconds and then they turn off. If you press it again, they will stay on all the time. The third press will turn them off. I don't believe there's any timer on the second mode where they're just on all the time. There's pieces of plastic falling. Oh, that's because I cut it. Yes, so I wanted to make this joint less tight, so I just took an X-Acto knife and just carved a little bit, I don't know if you can see that, a little bit of plastic out of the collar there and here. That's what the original one looks like. So I just carved away a little bit until it fit still snugly, but not as tight. These are tiny little LEDs, but they're quite bright, and there's a nice piece of foam rubber border around there to block out the light, which is appreciated. And it works pretty well, although I find on this side of the head, Megatron's right side of his head, facing it would be the left, on that side there is a bit of a light that leaks out. I'll show you the lights on in the dark after I get this put back together. Yeah, and because of that you miss out on this detail. This is, on the official you can see this is where his eyes are kind of visible. When he gets reformatted by Unicron, you get to see a bit of that. So that's a nice little touch, but not there because of the LEDs. So let's get this put back together and we'll move on to the face customization and how I separated those pieces. Okay, time for some facial surgery. By the way, I keep saying the G1 Megatron box art, but of course that's representing the G1 Megatron toy. This is the face that that this sculpt is supposed to represent. So you can see, originally it did not have the black here, here, and on the cheeks. It just had these black squares on the side. This is what it looked like before I painted it. And again, I'm sorry that I've already done this, but not to cheat you and skip this part, just in case you want to do this yourself, I will operate on this here. So I thought it would be very hard to get paint in there on the little head area there. So I needed to separate this. For some reason, this one is the only one that's different. All of them have this red on the back, and this one was black for some reason. And had the yellow eyes, of course. So the way this fits together, this tab up here and the top of the head actually plugs up into the rest of the head part. So to get this separated so we can paint these black parts here, I'll use this messed up face here, and we have to take the face off.
I'd like to take his face off.
That's right. So I used a metal spudger, and we need to pry this. First I kind of pry this apart. You can hear a little bit of cracking as the glue breaks, just to get that loosened up. And then we need to move this down. So this one's actually a different shape than the other one. Let's hope I can pry this apart without breaking it. Just a bit of wiggling, a bit of spudging. Once we get that separated away, it'll be easier. Yeah, there we go. And that just pops out. That was actually a little easier, I think. Maybe because I know what I'm doing this time. Yeah, it's a bit different shape. So you can see how it just slots up in there like that. Now we pulled it out. So now it's much easier to paint these black parts here. Now on this one, I've already done that. So as you can see, it's slightly different shape. So this is the inside. That's not the part we want to paint. It's actually on the head trigger bit here. I like to use Army Painter paints because a coworker told me about these, and they are cheaper than Games Workshop and computing paints, and they are just as good quality. And we will use a very tiny brush. This is pretty old. I don't know I don't know what size of brush this is, but it's tiny. So I just had some black paint, and I painted these bits here. And I also needed to paint these cheeks here. Not cheeks, I guess, really, but this I painted black here and down here. It just had the squares painted, and this is all black now. That's all black. And I don't really care about the light up function, to be honest with you. I wanted the eyes to stand out more when there is no light source behind them. So I just put white paint over the back of the clear plastic here. Now I'm wondering if I should have put gold there, but the white seems to work well. And in fact, you know what? It still lights up right through that white paint. And I have too much light in here. So I will demonstrate this after I put this back together. So now that we're all finished painting, we can reassemble this. So we'll just slot this back up into the head like it was before. And now we have a much more accurate head. Let's do it side by side. Much better. Now, as you may know, the way that the Megatron head works is there's a post here on the face, and it slots down into a hole in the head. And to remove it, you lift it up. Now, these are unfortunately not compatible both ways. So, because there's electronics in this head, the posts on these are smaller. Whereas the official ones, you can see, has a longer post. So that means you cannot put any of the official heads onto this electronic one, which I guess you wouldn't really want to do anyway, because, I mean, what's the point, right? They will not light up because it's opaque, so that doesn't work. However, you can put all of the faces from this upgrade kit onto your original Megatron head. Maybe I won't use that one. So here's a light up head. It will go into the official because it is shorter. And the paint match is close, not perfect, but you could do that if you want to. Although I have just discovered it's awfully tight and hard to get out, so I don't recommend you do that. Alright, so let's get this put back together. Now we have a face and a head. We can put this in here, and that is what I wanted to end up with. And now that we've carved out this neck socket, ew, gross, we can just put this back on. And there we have the result. Let me clean this boy up. Alright, and that is the end result that I was wanting. I wanted that face on this Megatron, and I like it. I think it looks good. Now let's test out the light functions. Let's turn off some light here. And we'll get this guy lit up. There we go. As you can see, the light still works. Okay. Well, I hope you can see his eyes are lighting up. It's going just fine through the paint, actually. I barely noticed the difference. And you can see a little bit of that light bleeding out the edge there. As I mentioned, let's turn off the pulsing. There's the steady lights. Let's get complete darkness. Kind of hard to show lights on camera. We'll put this demonstration head back together. All I have to do is slot that back up in there and it works fine again. So there's a little upgrade kit you can get and a modification you can do if you are weird like me and wanted that head on your Masterpiece Megatron but were too cheap to buy the MP-36 Plus. Okay, let's modify the stand. I don't know if anybody's interested in this bit, or the other bits for that matter, but here's our G1 Megatron. I want to put it in this stand. So we have a height difference here. So this barrel comes up to, let's say, 8 centimeters. And to rest in the circular part here, that looks like 11 centimeters. So we need to take off 3.5 centimeters, and we want to chop it out of the middle here. Okay, so we need to find the midpoint of the stand after we unplug it here, and I made a mistake, so I'm going to do this over again. This time I'm going to use a dry erase marker to mark it. So we want to measure from the base up to this piece right here, where it turns flat. It looks like it's symmetrical from here to here, just a bit shy of the top because of the way it's shaped. So I'm going to lay this down and measure up to that point would be 11 centimeters. So half of 11 centimeters should be 5.5. So we want to mark the midpoint right here at 5.5. And our difference was 3.5 centimeters. So we want to take 1.75 on either side of that mark, which means we put it here. And 1.75 should be about there. Okay, and now hopefully you can see the darker dots here are the ones we want to cut. So if I cut out this section here, from here to here, I think that should line up. Let's just check our width. At that point would be just under 2 centimeters. Just under 2 centimeters. So that should weld together there. We're going to glue that together. First we have to cut it. Now I'm sorry I cannot show this on camera because I'm going to cut this on a table saw. If you have a Dremel with a nice smooth cutting tool, I think that would work as well. I would not use anything else. I'm not sure that would give you a good cut. So for my needs, I'm going to put this on the table saw. I'm going to sandwich it between 2 pieces of wood so that it doesn't shatter or chip. Alright, that seemed to work okay because this piece fell out when I cut it. I know I went a little too far because I forgot I put the base in there to prop up the other end of the board, and forgot it was there. Cut a little too far. You don't have to cut all the way through this thing in that case. So I'll take this apart. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, so there's where I goofed. I ran it through a little too far. So I guess that's going to be the back of the stand when I put it on the shelf. And let's take out the 2 pieces we got here. It wasn't perfect with the sandwiching idea because because the base actually tapers in. I didn't realize that. But anyway, we have our 2 pieces. Let's flip that around. It's not a perfectly straight cut, but I think if we flip it, it'll work. Yeah, so I think that will be okay. We'll glue that together. The Old Faithful, I like the Super Gold Plus because it does not cloud clear plastic, which is useful for this. And I'm going to just stick it on this piece of painter's tape after I've glued it so it stays in place. Okay, so I'll just put this on a toothpick because my my nozzle is clogged up. Just a little tiny bit here, and we will put that on edge. Okay. Alright, so just make sure that's lined up properly. Tape should hold it in place, and we'll let that dry. Okay, our super glue has dried, and time to test it out. So we'll take the base with this at the back and just plug it in. I'm gonna remove that marker with something. Maybe some alcohol, take that off. And as you can see, Megatron does stand up without anything, but a little bump on the shelf would have him tip over. So let's see how I did here. Okay, it's a little short, but it's still, that'll still help him keep stable. So there's the stand mod. So that is Model 01 Destroy Kit. Transfixed. Thanks for watching.